Welcome in, YCN Sports Talk. I'm Jeremy Stout, joined by Andrew Zerhide. And before we get started today, we have this nice piece of hardware here.
Yeah.
And that was one of our YCN sister station, was recognized Monday night at the NABs. And our esteemed director, Greg, was able to go to Las Vegas to pick that up. They didn't ask us.
Exciting. No, not us. No,
we didn't get the invite. We just got to stay here in the studio and put the show together. Right. So, anyway, so congratulations to everyone at YCN and the stations for that award. Let's get into the Red Sox, a team who has had some ups and downs. We've talked about them in the early going. And I want to talk about the starting rotation, and that seems like it's going to be a topic all year, Andrew. I mean, it's clearly what it's going to be. Pluses and minuses. Obviously, Chris Sale continues to pitch great.
Yep.
Eduardo Rodriguez, after he missed the start, he was out on paternity leave. Right. He looks like he's back. Pitched a decent game. Porcello, Pomerantz good, not great yet. Stephen Wright questionable. So, okay, we'll kick it to you. What is your takeaway besides Chris Sale is amazing? We knew that.
Yeah, so I mean, Chris Sale is obviously the anchor of this team. He's getting a lot of comparisons to Pedro. I mean, a lot of the similar statistics. I think he's maybe even has a slightly better strikeout rate over 9 innings over Pedro's career. So, I mean, to me, Rick Porcello, I think, has been a little shaky to start the season, but he will, I think, kind of be similar to what he was last year with the Cy Young season. Right. His ERA, I think, will dip down under 4. I think it's just under 5 right now.
Yeah, it's a little high right now.
Right, but I think he will, get back to old ways. But Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez, with him, it's always confidence. If he's confident and his body feels good, obviously when he's been a little banged up, he hasn't been confident. Right. And he's gotten shelled. But if he feels good, the ceiling is so high for him.
Right,
I think, he threw 6, shutout innings against the Orioles?
Yeah, 5 or 6 innings. I can't remember how long he lasted, but 1 hit I think he gave up.
Right.
Shutout innings.
So, I mean, with him, it's really hit or miss. He's either going to get, let up 8 runs, or he's going to be lights out.
And it seems like they know he has that talent because they've let him go this long. I think if that's a journeyman pitcher, they don't keep him around, where he had trouble last year and he gets blown up in certain innings. So I'm encouraged by him. The one thing I want to go back to Rick Porcello, he's given up a lot of home runs, which is a little, not telling, but it's just a little troubling because that's what happened 2 years ago when he had the really bad season. He was giving up a lot of home runs. Last year he was able to contain that, and he's walking a lot of guys, which, doesn't seem like that would be something he would do. He's usually a pretty good control pitcher. But, I'm encouraged by both of those two. Pomerantz throws pretty well.
Right, yeah.
Sale, obviously. So that brings us to Stephen Wright. He has not seemed to get on track at all this year. Is that a concern? I know knuckleballs are inconsistent, but inconsistent is one thing. Bad is another thing. He hasn't really been good. I guess you could say last Monday, Patriots Day. Remember what he gave up a couple runs in the first inning. Kind of settled down. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on him early. Yeah.
So I'm not an expert on pitching, but I've heard that with Stephen Wright stuff and Rick Porcello's stuff, they don't have the kind. They use the term stuff. Right. They don't have the kind of pitches where they can miss their location and be okay. Right. With a guy like Chris Sale, his fastball and his slider is a really good one. He can miss his location, but people will still not be able to pick it up. Right. But with guys like Stephen Wright, especially with a knuckleballer, when that thing just drops a little bit, it's getting crushed. Right. People are not missing it. So to me, it's if they can really, their command is what's going to make or break their season.
So, I mean, obviously it looks like the rotation is set as it is. They don't really have any other options. I mean, obviously Price, he's supposedly throwing, I think he's throwing a bullpen session this week. We'll get into him a little bit. But to Stephen Wright, so does he last? Am I getting too crazy here thinking that he could not last the season? Because last year he pitched well for the first half of the year. Then he kind of tailed off for a month or so. Then he got injured. Right. So ever since he got injured, this is his first pitching in a while. But it just seems like I know a knuckleballer is tough to analyze, but Tim Wakefield, when he was a knuckleballer, he'd have good games and bad games. Stephen Wright, I just feel like has had a lot of bad games.
Yeah, to me, it's probably going to be hit or miss with his game, similar to Erod. I think his ERA is probably about 4.5. That's, I think, what his probably average career will be like. Right. I think last year in the first half of the season was kind of probably not typical of the season you're going to see from him. Right. So his strikeout rate and the ERA was like 2.5 for the first year. It's just not normal for a knuckleballer. So I think he will kind of find his stride at some point this season. But if he continues to get shelled like he has, letting up 8 runs and not even 2 innings, that's just not going to fly.
Right, that's the thing. He has some good games, but then he has some pretty terrible ones. And you can't run a guy out there every 5th day who just gets shelled, because then it eats into your bullpen.
Right.
So there's a lot of problems that go into it. So it's a long season, lots to go. We'll monitor the situation for the Red Sox. We'll talk David Price later in the show. When we come back, we'll talk some Celtics playoffs, tied 2-2 as they go for Game 5 tonight against Chicago. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.